Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more detailed videos. Kristin Booth stepped forward with news that stopped her fans and colleagues in their tracks, not because it was sensational, but because it was deeply human. Only 3 months after standing shoulder to shoulder with her Hallmark Channel best friend through a cancer battle, Kristin revealed that she herself had received a diagnosis. The timing alone made the moment feel heavy, layered with emotion, and impossible to ignore. This wasn't a carefully staged announcement or a dramatic headline grab. It was a personal truth shared with quiet strength, honesty, and a clear intention to turn fear into connection. When Kristin chose to speak, she didn't frame herself as a victim or a hero. Instead, she spoke as someone caught in the strange emotional whiplash of going from supporter to patient. Just weeks earlier, she had been offering comfort, encouragement, and unwavering presence to someone she loved. She knew the appointments, the waiting rooms, the long pauses before results came in. She knew how cancer rearranges time, how it stretches minutes into hours and compresses weeks into blinks. What she didn't know then was that she would soon be navigating that same path herself. Her words carried the shock of recognition. She described how surreal it felt to sit on the other side of the conversation, hearing information that suddenly applied to her own body, her own future. There was no dramatic flourish in the way she spoke about it. Instead, there was a calm, reflective tone, as if she was still processing how quickly life had shifted. One day, she was the steady presence, the reassuring voice. The next, she was the one being reassured. Kristin shared that the diagnosis didn't arrive with instant clarity or certainty. Like many people, she faced a period of confusion, questions, and emotional overload. She spoke about how the mind immediately races ahead, imagining worst-case scenarios before facts have even fully landed. In those early days, fear didn't announce itself loudly. It crept in quietly, in moments of stillness, in the space between phone calls and test results. She admitted that strength in those moments didn't feel like bravery. It felt like simply getting through the day. What made her story resonate so strongly was her willingness to acknowledge vulnerability without letting it define her. Kristin talked about learning to accept help, something she realized she had always found easier to give than receive. She described how strange it felt when friends and loved ones looked at her with concern, when conversations shifted from casual catch-ups to careful check-ins. Yet she also emphasized how deeply meaningful that support became. It reminded her that she wasn't facing this alone, even on days when it felt intensely personal. She reflected on the emotional weight of timing, how being so close to someone else's cancer journey prepared her in ways she didn't expect. Watching her Hallmark Bestie face diagnosis and treatment had already taught her about resilience, patience, and the power of optimism grounded in reality. When her own diagnosis came, those lessons didn't erase fear, but they gave her a framework for facing it. She knew that bad days didn't cancel out hope, and that progress wasn't always visible from the outside. Kristin also spoke candidly about the internal pressure many people feel to stay positive after a diagnosis. She admitted that positivity can sometimes feel like a burden, as if fear and sadness are emotions that need to be hidden or rushed through. Instead, she chose honesty. Some days felt manageable. Others felt heavy. Both were valid. By sharing that truth, she gave permission to others walking similar paths to stop pretending they were okay when they weren't. Throughout her message, Kristin returned to the idea of listening to your body and trusting your instincts. She encouraged people not to dismiss concerns or postpone checkups out of fear or inconvenience. Her words weren't preachy or alarmist. They were grounded in lived experience, shaped by the realization that health can change quietly, without warning. She made it clear that early attention and awareness can make a meaningful difference, not just medically, but emotionally as well. She also addressed the unexpected clarity that can come with difficult news. Kristin shared how the diagnosis forced her to slow down and reassess priorities she had long taken for granted. Small moments gained weight. Conversations felt more intentional. Time stopped being something to fill and started being something to protect. She didn't romanticize the experience, but she acknowledged that it reshaped her perspective in ways she never anticipated. For fans who know her primarily through warm, comforting roles on screen, Hearing her speak with such openness created a powerful connection. Kristin wasn't hiding behind a character or a script. She was speaking as herself, without filters or performance. That honesty reinforced why so many people feel drawn to her work in the first place. The compassion she brings to her roles reflects something genuine, something lived. She made a point to express gratitude for her medical team, describing the relief that comes from feeling heard and respected during such a vulnerable time. Trust, she said, became essential. Trust in the professionals guiding her care, and trust in her own ability to face uncertainty one step at a time. She acknowledged that not having all the answers was uncomfortable, but she was learning to sit with that discomfort instead of letting it overwhelm her. Kristin's bond with her Hallmark bestie took on new meaning through this shared experience. She spoke about how their conversations deepened, shifting from supportive check-ins to mutual understanding. There was comfort in knowing that someone truly understood the emotional landscape she was navigating. Cancer, she said, can be isolating, even when surrounded by love. Having someone who speaks the same as a form of empowerment. She explained that sharing her story wasn't about seeking sympathy. It was about breaking silence, about reminding others that illness doesn't discriminate and that vulnerability can exist alongside strength. By speaking out, she hoped to create space for conversations that are often avoided until they become unavoidable. She also acknowledged the privilege of access to care and support, noting that not everyone's journey looks the same. That awareness fueled her desire to use her voice responsibly, to encourage compassion rather than comparison. Every diagnosis, she emphasized, is personal. Every response is valid. There is no single right way to move through it. As she continues forward, Kristin remains realistic yet hopeful. She didn't promise easy days or quick resolutions. Instead, she committed to presence. To show up for herself as honestly as she shows up for others. To allow rest when needed and courage when possible. Her message wasn't about triumph over illness, but about coexistence with uncertainty. In sharing her diagnosis just months after supporting someone else through theirs, Kristin Booth offered something quietly powerful, proof that empathy learned in one role can carry us through another. Her story is not defined by timing alone, but by the grace with which she met it. Through her openness, she reminded listeners that even in moments of shock and fear, connection remains possible, and that sometimes the bravest thing we can do is simply tell the truth about where we are. Her journey is still unfolding, and she made no attempt to frame it as complete or resolved. What she offered instead was presence, honesty, and a steady reminder that strength doesn't always look like certainty. Sometimes it looks like sharing your story while you're still living it, trusting that in doing so, you might help someone else feel a little less alone. Come back to our channel for all your updates. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel.